Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone can see my screen and we're ready to go. This is 1 million cups. If you are supposed to be someplace else, you can, well, we invite you to stick around, but this is your opportunity to get a little bit of energizing by talking about startups and new businesses and entrepreneurship and just being a good friend to the small business as it learns to grow. So here at 1 million cups, you can see we've got a lot of places you can go see us in terms of social media and such, but grab a brew, grab whatever you like to drink, and let's have some fun today. Just so you know, we have a one-stop shop for all of our links if you want to come see us at any particular time or talk to us, and it is called a link tree, and it's just Linktree and then 1MC Seattle. If you go there, all of our stuff's available to you, and we look forward to you using this little link to find us at your behest. So what do we do at 1 million cups? Well, this is an opportunity for someone to present their business and their ideas, but the way we go about it's a little bit differently. We're all about supporting each other and asking for help. And the way we do this is we have to share our ideas and put it out there and be a little bit vulnerable. And if we do that, we're going to build a community that supports each other and really, really strengthens the opportunities for our community in being successful. So, and of course we do this while drinking coffee or the caffeinated beverage of your choice. We're different than other groups that do the same kind of startup help in that we're really not about the money side. We're about presentations, not pitches. And we're really about a community, building that community of support and making connections instead of just networking and handing out business cards. But more importantly, I think our biggest bonus point is that we're radically and intentionally inclusive. We don't care what your idea is. We don't care what your product is. We would love for you to come and present or just be part of the community and talk and help out. So we're totally open to everybody. We'd love to see you. So if you know someone who doesn't think they're a business person and they're just, I don't know if I really want to do that, this is an opportunity for them to come and find out if people are interested. So it'd be kind of fun for them. This does happen across the whole country. And while this slide is a little bit outdated, there's at least over 130 communities doing this. Lots of volunteers, lots of attendees every single week go to 1 million cups on a Wednesday at 9 a.m. in their time zone. And every one of those runs on the idea that we seek education, presentations, and connections. Those are our core values. Over time, and this slide is also old, I have to be honest with you, it was probably 9,000 at this point. Maybe 8,500 entrepreneurs have shared their stories at 1 million cups. When we used to meet in person, this is where we were meeting. It was called The Collective, still a great place downtown, Dexter Avenue. So one day we'll be back there. Fingers crossed, COVID go away. But we couldn't do this without places like The Collective stepping up and helping us out, or we have some community sponsors which help support our community, our 1MC Seattle group in doing what we do. We got the McLaughlin Method, a small studio, and Human Up, which, like I said, we wouldn't be able to get to you and be as efficient as a team without the help from these people. We do have a community of volunteers, and as you see there, we've got 6 on here, but sadly, Leif, after 18 months or so, almost 2 years of being in charge, has left, as we do. We kind of cycle through to make sure there's always fresh voices, and he will just be a community member from now on. But that means there's room for somebody else, 2 or 3 other people. If you want to practice a little bit of something in the business world, we would love to have you join our team. So if you are interested in that, give us a shout out. So today, what we're going to have is we'll have a presentation. Okay, we've already had a little bit of coffee and conversation, but we're going to have a presentation from an entrepreneur. They're going to go a little bit over 6 minutes because we've got a good idea for showing you their product. And then afterwards, we'll have about a 20-minute Q&A session, and then break into some breakout rooms for some connections with some personal people here in the group. So while we're listening to the presentation, it's good to become a supportive listener. And the most important thing to me is to limit your distractions. And that way you can just pay attention more. You can kind of get a feel for what you want to ask and how can you share your expertise with this person. And one of the things we ask you to do is consider rephrasing any kind of comment or question with a should and start with a what. Ask, what about this? Have you tried this? What if you did this instead? And that way it's a little less abrasive and it's a little bit more inquiry, and it brings about a more supportive tone. So if you can do that, it really helps everybody in our quest to be inclusive here at Seattle 1MC. That being said, I think it's time for me to stop sharing my screen. If I can get to the my Zoom meeting, wherever it's gone to.
I have that happen all the time.
Yeah, it's gone. It's lost.
Or it's blocking. You got to look for the camera.
Mine always takes to a different desktop. I'm like, what?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what mine did. It went to a different desktop. I'm gonna stop the share. There we go. Woohoo! Just a little blip at the top of the screen. Sorry about that delay, folks. And so with that being said, Frank from InfoApp, take it away.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. So let me just minimize this a little bit. Okay. So let me introduce myself. Again, my name is Frank Martin. I'm the founder of InfoApp. Give you a little background on myself. I've been in software sales for over 15 plus years. I've sold various different things, but the majority of my career has been software. This is something I really enjoy. I've been selling things. God, I like selling so much. I've actually created products to sell them. I've been doing this since I was about 7 years old. I even built a toy product at one time, and we got it into Toys R Us when Toys R Us was around, and in various other stores we sold over 100,000 units. So this product is something I thought that was needed when just being in sales. And let me go ahead and walk you through the use case and kind of introduce you to InfoApp. So this is a scenario. Whenever you're talking with customers, any type of customer facing, usually when you're doing a presentation, so this is kind of a Zoom call. This is the customer, and this is me as a salesperson. The customer's always, toward the end, they're saying, great presentation. Can you send me some information? And as a salesperson, you're thinking, okay, sure, I can send this to them, but I got to do this later because I got to pull everything together. So what happens is, the customer asks for the information, or you want to provide information, and you basically say, sure, let me send this to you later. And the customer says, okay, great, I'll wait to see it. Thanks again for the demo. So what you have to do as a salesperson is you have to go back, sometime during the day or the next day, and you have to sit there and craft this email that has all the various different notes, the things that the customer mentioned, the important points that you think we're going to, bring across, as well as, the various different links, and make sure everything's nice and grammatically correct. And by the time you send it to them, they usually go dark. And the reason is because it took a while for you to do this, and you send it to them later. They're off to something else. They have another priority. So I always looked at this as kind of a missed opportunity. What if I had the top 12 things I knew resonated with customers and was able to pick these things and be able to send them to the customer right then and there? So instead of me saying I'm going to send it later, what if the scenario was like this? Hey, great presentation. Can you send me the information? And I say, sure. Let me put this together for you right now. And guy's like, great, thanks. So I'm sending it to him right now. He has it in his hands and he's able to look at it versus waiting hours. And by that time he's off to something else. So again, what does something like this look like? And what does an InfoApp look like? So this is where we're going to get into the product demo. This is a customer right now. They're actually reviewing our solution. This is called Cloudly. And if the customer is interested in Cloudly, and let's say I was pitching Cloudly, or finding, basically wanting to provide them information, make sure there's a good fit and everything, I would have to probably go to the products and find the links, write that email, find the various different bits of information to send them, or I can go to this InfoApp. And this InfoApp has all the information of the products. It has videos. It actually even plays the video right in here. Various different case studies. So customer wants the information. I sit there and say, sure, let me just put this together for you. So I just click on the things that I believe that they're going to want. I hit OK. Now we're tied into CRMs. This is actually HubSpot. So I just type in just a few letters. I say, okay, my form is filled out. My email's completed. This is what I'm sending. And I just hit send. So I didn't have to write this big, long dated email that I would send hours later. Customer would. Uh-oh. It's loading. So I'll just click on this. Customer would see the information here, and it's all broken out for the customer. So what I did for 1 million cups is I thought of the same thing. Here I've got, your tree link example. So what would this look like as an info app? So again, this is what it would look like as an info app. So I've got, the Zoom link, apply to, present. It's all right here. I even actually put in your presentation. So if you wanted to, you can be able to send this to a customer. So again, we have a link shortener that, says infoapp.com, 1 million cups, Seattle. And again, if a customer wanted some information, besides them going to this page, they can sit there and say, yeah, let me just give you, the information that you would need. Click here on maybe a couple of videos that you would want. Just click OK. Next. Send. And there it is. Oh, here's the Cloudly one. Okay. All right. I think I had a different email address that was popping up here. I think there's a delay in here. I think that's the problem. There it is. So here's the information. 1 million cups. They click on this. And there's the information for the customer right then and there. See how it's broken out by information, videos. I can sit there and play this video. I think this was last week. So again, it's very informative. It's very easy to use. And it really gets to the point. And all this is really doing is creating a site map. So let me go back here and tell you where we are at. So once I built this, I was thinking specifically for, just a use case in terms of engaging. But what I found out, there's a variety of different things you can use this for. You can use this for prospecting on LinkedIn, as I mentioned, engagement, link consolidation. So you can have, a variety of different links. Instead of putting in a bunch of links for people to click on, you can have one link where they can click and access and go to the page. And it's the same thing for linking to social. And what's interesting is, again, what the customers or the people that are interested, whatever they're clicking on, you're getting the results. You're kind of seeing what's working and what's not. So again, that's very, very beneficial. Now, the business model, the way this works is essentially we have a freemium model that you can basically use yourself, or if you want to, the paid comes into place where you actually want to push this out to several different salespeople or anybody who's customer facing. So you can push this one page, they have that information, they can send this to the customer. And then again, they can sit there and gather the information, figure out what's working and what's not. And again, hone in on this, find out the right messages that are working with the customers, and then from there, build more of it. Where we are in terms of, just info app in general from market validation, there is a segment in the market called sales enablement. It's about a $17 billion market. It's growing roughly about 17% per year. I've been working with various different salespeople for feedback and adjusting the product, just my experience in sales. And then right now we've been onboarding, a few customers, and we're getting more and more. They're obviously telling us, a little bit more in terms of how to hone in the product. So the current status is, it's available right now. If you go to infoapp.com, there's a free version. And we have our first customers. We're doing training. Actually, the customers are all over the globe right now, which is very exciting. And we also have integration with Salesforce and HubSpot. And we also have a way of integrating with other types of applications. With that said, is there any questions?
Hey, hopefully lots of questions.
That was excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
had a
so
little
much.
snafu there with the email, and I didn't realize there was a delay, but it worked out.
You don't control Google, they control you. That's the way it works. So everyone's nodding at that one. So, well, let's see now. Let's, if you can stop sharing the screen, we can kind of go to a, there we go. And we've already got a couple of questions all lined up. Let's start with Stephanie.
Thank you, Frank. That was a great product. My background is we're a marketing agency. And so I'm looking at this and it makes me smile because there's so many salespeople who live in their email, and it's like good luck for any type of actual technology. And if there's something custom CRM that's not done for them already, they're just going to fly right by it. So it is an intriguing idea. I like how everything's been set up. I'm curious about, in terms of integration, you've mentioned Salesforce and HubSpot already. Are you doing integrations directly through their API, or are you doing integrations through like some sub party with this being built? It looks like potentially it was recently built or moved to Java specifically. Are you doing like something through Zapier, or are you actually coordinating the API directly?
It's a direct API. We're using their APIs. There's a lot of challenges in that, but at the same time, when you do it right, then you kind of alleviate a lot of things too.
That's true.
So I don't know if you saw that, but when I was typing FRA, it was actually going into HubSpot and it was pulling in various different, the names that tied to that.
Based on your, I have just a really quick follow-up sub question on that. Based on your current projected, are you looking at opening up more integrations or very general integrations in the future? Again, like what's the sort of progress on that? Because I know obviously for the type of demographic you guys are probably going for with huge sales hub teams, as opposed to like small business that, Salesforce and HubSpot are kind of on the two ends of the spectrum. So I'm just curious, like what's the projected software plan to that?
Yeah. So we've got Salesforce, we've got HubSpot. I don't know if you know this, but we also integrate with Outlook. We also integrate with Gmail. So that automatically comes folded in. There are some, I don't know if you're familiar with like a SalesLoft or an Outreach or anything like that. Some of the integrations we noticed with some of the software vendors, they're kind of limited. Mm-hmm. So we built this thing I call copy integration. And what copy integration does is I can click on whatever I want. And I say, instead of me going to using my email format, I can click on this thing that says, just give me a click here button or a link. And I can paste that right into my own personal email or other applications. So we have that. And the other thing we're doing too is we're going to be building this thing to make it super easy. So the biggest thing about CRMs is it's just putting in the information. It always feels disjointed and uncomfortable doing that. But if I'm actually working the process in terms of sending emails out, updating customers, phone calls, a variety of different things, this can all be, because we already pull stuff directly from the CRM. We're going to have a section that's going to say notes, and you type in your notes and it literally will have that there at your fingertips. We're also going to build what I call a help channel. Most of the customers that I've worked with, most of the sales organizations that I've had really a lot of success at, there's a lot of collaboration. Like some customer isn't responding to me, so I get my vice president to send him an email, or I need him involved with a call. There are a variety of things. Usually those things are kind of, I send an email to the customer, or I send an email to my boss. I text him, I'm calling him. I'm doing a variety of different things where this could be just one help channel and centralize it. So you'd be able to see, not only the opportunities, the notes of what's going on, a process that, you're just clicking to make sure you're following, as well as a help channel and making sure, everything's together. It's more like a huddle, which is what sales teams really operate. A lot of these CRMs are kind of more administrative. They're not huddle-like, they're not intimate. And this is what I'm after.
I was actually my last thing, and then I'll pass it on to Dan. So
sure.
If this were my project and my development, my thing, my advice, sure, and from what I've seen in the market is I've gone through so many different CRMs. You either have a project management CRM, you have a customer relations CRM and sales, or you have a software like Jira, Atlassian, and Confluence, and or some type of ticketing system or support knowledge base. I would probably do my best not to consider too much bloat, especially technology bloat with features, keep it really simple. The biggest
Right.
part of the market that doesn't exist, which I do see this kind of evolving to, is some type of knowledge base that a sales team could use. Because again, there's so many, as you said, a CRM system is lacking in terms of actually providing that content. There's a lot of bigger project or CRM companies out there internationally that have used some type of knowledge base, but it's very limited. It looks crappy. It doesn't look good. When you're a salesperson, appearance is very important. If you have something that's like, here's this link of a bunch of different stuff that isn't clean and consistent, as well as
Right.
some way to send information, they're not going to use it. And a lot of developers lack that cleanliness, so to speak, with some of the products, just because, again, they don't see it from a sales perspective. So going
Exactly.
into this, yeah, I would focus, if this was mine, I would 100% focus on the knowledge base aspect and support aspect for knowledge, because there's so many things in the market right now that just do not. They focus on project management on a big scale, corporate scale, in terms of, you know, productivity, in terms of how to get hours out of individuals for project tasks, or sales or revenue analytics. I would focus on information if it was on my side. So great presentation. It's fascinating. And I'm looking forward to seeing more, because again, it's just, to me, it's there definitely is a need. And I'd be curious to see the features as they progress over time. So
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the comments. Well, I totally wrote everything down. That's good stuff. You know, I mean, just give you some feedback. You know, I listen to customers all the time. That's how I build this stuff. I mean, or just listening to people, because I mean, that's where you come up with your best ideas. Because lots of times I'm super focused. I don't even see some of this stuff, but the knowledge base, that's a really good add-on in terms of what we're doing, and just well phrased.
yeah, just feature bloat is what kills a lot of great
Right.
startups like this, is because they say, oh, we could add this, we could add this. And then once you get into more integrations, when you mention the Outlook integration, I'm like, ooh, like just
It's already in there.
Outlook, I know it's already in there, but a lot of that stuff, especially with email and again, setting that up for the first time for consumers and or sales teams, it's tough. It's tough to have all that stuff ready
Yeah,
to go
I mean,
already.
I'd have to show it to you. I mean, literally, it's just sliding something that turns on. That's all you have to do. I mean, literally, I took it from the element of a software person. I mean, a salesperson. I mean, you know, I was literally sitting there saying, okay, I want this to be like sending photos to a friend. You know, everybody knows how to do that.
That's a good call there. That simplicity is the way to go.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
what took them.
Yeah. Dan.
Yes. Hello. I was wondering, are you looking for more partnerships around like other CRM companies or sales, or other organizations associated with sales, like maybe Sandler Training, those types of partnerships? Are you looking to expand on any of those?
No, that
Or you're
I
good?
think that would be fantastic. You know, we
Okay.
did have talked to some people that are, you know, they've actually trained salespeople, or they, you know, they're working in terms of help building a process, and they're looking at this as something that would really fit well. And it's, you know, it's very inexpensive for what it does. Part of the design was, you know, most of these companies believe you need this big repository to put all the stuff in. We're technically, what we do is we think of it as a sitemap. Anything can reside where it is. You just need the links and put a nice little picture on it. You click on it, and it takes you there. So that saves you a ton of money and time.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely.
Okay. And how would you describe your ideal client? Like in addition to maybe the introductions that I might be able to make on the CRM or sales training side, what, you know, like what's your ideal client?
Sure.
if you could make
Typically, it's usually, you know, some sort of sales management, you know, either a chief revenue officer or vice president of sales. I mean, that's who we've been targeting, because they're familiar with the pain of having to find all this information and put it together. And they see this, like this can give them an edge, and send it to them right then and there. I mean, just to let you know, after you send it to them, if you want to send even more information, it actually merges what was previously sent. So you can send them a quote, and it has all the previous info. So it's all nice and organized for the customer. But no, they really see the advantage, and you know, they're the ones that potentially drive it. I mean, I've kind of talked to some marketing folks, and I don't think they see the pain so much as a salesperson, because the salesperson's literally, you know, in the trenches. Sales enablement, they're kind of, the people I've even spoke with, they're they kind of have to go along with whatever sales does. But it seems like the sales management is the person that would drive this.
And it doesn't really matter as far as company size or type, industry.
Not really.
That's fine.
We've got
Okay, good.
customers,
Right.
we're just starting, right? We've got customers that are, little as 50 to like 150. And I'm talking to people, with organizations over 500 because they all have the same problem. It's like, but at one of my somebody's actually doing a trial and we were actually, kind of coaching them through it. And she had trouble like finding the documents. It almost boded well for, why you needed this. It was hilarious.
Nice, thank you.
I appreciate you. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Tasso, what's your question?
Oh man, I was like deep in getting the free version and about to like flip around. Anyway, so this seems like it could have a lot of applications to a lot of different people. And,
Right.
like, even like I'm thinking just being in this entrepreneurial community, like people who are trying to do it all themselves, like who are both the like founder, the strategist, and the marketing person, and the salesperson, and everything. So I feel like it could be super useful for that. And if it sounds like it's a very quick process to get these, like I'm not exactly sure how it works yet, but to get the different like
the pages, yeah. It's just point and click. I could show you, but let me share my screen really quick.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, because like I think that's this fun thing about I want to go on it now and see how it works. So and how
Sure.
easy it is, because that's really fun feedback. But I guess I'm interested in who are you targeting specifically?
Sales VPs, vice president of sales, chief revenue officer, sometimes director. Although sometimes the director title I'm finding is a little misleading.
Mm-hmm. And what is your, like, how do you feel about your success in like getting to those levels and getting to the people that you need to get to? Is it?
Yeah, Eric, I never really talked about my big ask. Should I talk about that now? Ask it for the group, or is this just Q&A?
No, we'll ask that at the end.
Okay. I think we need to do better. I mean, what I've been doing is just kind of interesting is I've got, some stuff on LinkedIn, because almost all your salespeople reside on LinkedIn somehow, some way. And so I've been literally just been sending, I've got this bot that helps me in terms of getting more connections. And then from the connections, I get responses. I get so many responses, I literally will build a page for them, and it's their stuff, right? And you guys haven't seen this, how it works on LinkedIn. The way it works on LinkedIn, when you paste a link, it'll literally put the customer's name in there and it'll show a visual, like a visual saying that created for, and then the customer's name. And then, whatever I'm writing. So the first thing they see is created for and their name, and they see it's their own logo or something. Obviously they click on it. And it's funny thing, when they click on it, I get alerts and I'm like, oh, they're working on it. So let me see. Hey, what do you think? But those are the kind of things I've been doing. I need to figure out a better way to get more at bats. So it's just really, that's kind of new for me to a certain degree. I'm used to, cold calling and doing a lot of things, but right now due to COVID, it's pretty tough to get people on the phone. So it's been pretty much doing, LinkedIn and doing these kind of network type of events. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things I wanted to allude to on the ask.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I'm always a little bit interested in like how people get to the right people. That's like, seems like, 50% of the battle for many businesses. So thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm next for a question. First thing I have is a possible, you've probably thought about this, but a possible use case that you can talk
Sure.
about is, what if you're cold calling via email? Now the person, your salesperson, can just go make a quick email specifically suited to whoever they're sending stuff to on the cold call. So they got all their assets out there. So instead of it being right after a meeting, it could be the preemptive thing. Hey, here's a little bit about us. And so it's another way to use it. So just a thought. You probably already have that going with people. My question for you though is real simple. In your pricing model, it's certain dollars per month per person using it. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So if I have a company and I've got 5 salespeople, and those salespeople are that's five of those people I have to pay for. Is that right? Even if they're just
Correct.
using the same.
It's $15 per month per person.
Per user. And will they have their own little archive of stuff, or will there be one central archive for them to work off of?
The way it's created is, and again, I've only showed you limited pieces of the product, we have an extension, Chrome extension that allows you to build these pages. It's just point and click. And then, you know, if you want to change out the images, you just click on it and say, well, this image, you know, on my laptop, you know, we actually have an image manager or you know, on the page. But anyway, to go back to your question, what happens is best way it works with salespeople is to have an admin, because you're just not into these kind of technical things. So they build that, and then what you has a button that says invite, and you invite this to the salespeople, and the salespeople just have that page for them. That's it.
Okay.
And then they just click on whatever works for them. But if the salesperson wants something beyond that's on there, they have a little button that says add document, and then they can add anything they want. So we
Perfect.
kind of,
Yeah,
you know, we
that's
kind of did both of those.
Yeah, that's the best of both worlds right there. Excellent. Thank you.
Right.
I'll move on then and let Taroya, let her ask a question.
Thank you. Great presentation, Frank. And I love that it integrates with HubSpot, because we use HubSpot in our organization, and it's turned out to be a really great pairing. My only question, and I apologize if I missed it, I know you mentioned it through your presentation, is to have, if you've considered having that a slide which includes your pricing. Very similar to what you have on your website, so that folks will have that, because as you were going through your explanation, what was churning in my head is, okay, what's the price for this? What's the price for
Oh,
this?
sure,
And then you had
sure.
mentioned that there was a free. I think it would be nice to be able to see that as part of your presentation, that you know, it's like, here's the initial pricing, and then if there's customizing on the side, to just mention it as a part of your verbal presentation.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Yeah, I wasn't really sure what, you know, because you can only have like 5 or 6 minutes to kind of plug in. And I just figured maybe somebody might ask how much it costs, but just let everybody know, you know, the free version is just, you know, literally it's just, you know, you as a single person can use it. I think you can use it for 1 or 2 people, but anyway, we don't really promote that. But if you push it out to like you want 5 people, then that's when you get into, you know, a different type of license.
Quick question regarding that. So let's say that I just want to try it out before I introduce
Yeah.
this to the rest of the team. And I go in and I set it up as an individual with my work email, yada, yada, yada. When I'm ready to integrate the rest of the team, does my information then become integrated easily into that? Or do I have to start all over with their plan?
No, it's just, hey, Frank, I need a new license for 5 or 10 people. And then I just go, let me cut you a license, and then you're ready to go. And then you just hit invite and you just send it to the folks.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Great question, Taroya. So what's interesting about that is when Frank and I met on Monday, I think it was,
Right.
we went through his presentation, he had a pricing slide up there. And then he had this idea, let me show you how I can build right on the spot this 1MC version of it. And I'm like, great. And I think Frank probably said, I need to cut this down a little bit. Just so you know, Frank, it was like 8 minutes and 37 seconds. So you did really good. And I said, go a little longer because you're going to do this demo. So he had it in there and he took it out because we were doing something different this time. So, but great catch there. So there's not another question, but I have another one. And I didn't ask you this. Oh, wait, we do have one. Jesse's got a question. Jesse.
Well, thank you so much. Let me take down, doesn't matter. So Frank, thank you. So actually, I spent a little bit of time on it last week, and again, a little bit yesterday on the platform. So I have experienced it. Quick question. Do you have an IP?
What do you mean?
Have you thought about that? Intellectual property. So
yeah, I own the whole thing.
No, okay, no. So not owning an enterprise, kind of it's the niche that makes what you have or do different than a competitor.
Okay, sure.
And so,
sure. The biggest difference besides the ease of use functionality is majority of customers, or a majority, I would say, the competition out there, what they typically do is they build a repository, and then they require you to put everything into the repository. We sit there and say, you know what, you don't need to put everything in a repository. All we need to know is know where it is. So we get the link, and then we also have an image that we put on there. That image can be interchangeable, and then the caption of what that is. So what helps you in that is I'm able to get an organization up probably within an hour of all their documentation, their images, and push it out to their sales team, and they're ready to go. Our competition out there, typically they start at like 60 grand. They have this huge repository. They say, you know, there's a lot of AI that's involved, but AI, you got to pour in a lot of examples to get AI working. So you could have over a year or anything else before that really is up and running. If you ask me, you know, you still don't have enough examples to really make the AI work properly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's really the big difference, is the simplicity and the fact that, you know, what you're doing is you're building a sitemap. Instead of, hey, go on the website and figure it out. Here, let me give you what you want. Boom.
Yeah.
You know.
So from looking at the website and listening to you, definitely I got the mix. I couldn't tell. Now that I do know, it kind of puts together, is that I wasn't sure if this was for the small business owner or for the sales team of a company that's got maybe 50 employees.
Sure.
And it definitely, I think, has a better fit for that space, and that's what you're looking to do. And because a good consultant can come in and advise a company that's smaller how to do this on the back end of any website.
Right.
But there is some pros to that. But what you don't show and really talk about that I think can be very beneficial, and this is something that talks about your IP, is that yes, when you have a ID tag or your social tag, that when you post something, it brands that to that page. The advantage of what you have that a lot don't, that you need to really key on, is what you mentioned about LinkedIn, is that when you create it, it's actually posting to that person, not to that page. So that really gives
Personalization.
it that so that in itself is a spot that you have that you could be strategizing just in LinkedIn itself. That's a really good kickoff point of what you wanted to build.
Sure. No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you.
So, and I
You
would
know,
love to see that. I think that's fantastic.
yeah. And just let you know, we still need to work on the website. Majority of the sales I've been doing right now, it's just been following up and, you know, kind of controlling the sale, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, once we have more of that, we're going to go, okay, we really know what resonates, and we change the website as needed.
Absolutely. I get it. It's always ongoing, never ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Sure.
Fantastic. I think we've got time for one more. And I did have that little question in my mind. As you were developing this, Frank, okay, can you tell us what the biggest hurdle that you encountered during the, you know, from the idea stage to now? What was that thing that was like the biggest challenge that you had to, you know, that you had to overcome?
Sure. The biggest challenge is I've never really worked with developers before. Okay. So how do you work with developers and at the same time in another country, and, you know, what you're relaying to them actually, you know, makes sense, and they build something that's useful. Right. So, you know, they say, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You know, what I ended up doing was I would actually design this stuff in PowerPoint, believe it or not. And because I'm used to PowerPoint, I was doing lots of presentations. I would put animation in PowerPoint, and it, you know, and what I would do is literally build the UI, build, you know, exactly what it would look like, have a little bit of animation, like the slides would go this and this and this, and I would send it to them. We would go through that visualization of what the function and the feature and everything would work like. And then from there, they would go, oh, okay, I know what you, and then we would talk about if I was kind of a little too crazy on terms of, you know, what the technology is out there versus, you know, what we're able to do. But I would say that would be the, you know, the biggest challenge is really working with, you know, a developer team that's outside the United States. But when you make it visual, it's a lot easier to have a better and meaningful discussion, because then we can kind of, they'll ask questions. They'll think about, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense about this clicking on that, right? Versus just simple requirements. Does that help?
That was really good. What I liked is you added how you kind of overcame it as well. So, but that, I think that's a good thing to find out where people have had these issues, especially because you're a little more mature as a company. It reminded me of Office Space, the movie Office Space, the guy who's like, I take the information from the customer and I give it to the engineers. So if you guys have seen that movie, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, then I've just totally wasted your time. Anyways, let's say thanks again to Frank for a wonderful presentation and bringing a cool app. Yeah, we're doing this, a cool app to bear. I'm going to quickly grab the screen again and go here. So you guys can see that, I hope. Yes, you can. I'm going to hit the present button. And at the end of every session, we ask our presenter this wonderful question. And so Frank, we're wondering, what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Sure. Would you mind if I shared my screen? I kind of created a slide for that.
Oh yeah, great.
Okay, so it just really what we're trying to do, and this is my, one of my major challenges as well, is really, how do we get it out to the market, I guess better than what I'm doing now, and just trying to look for other ideas. I mean, right now, as I mentioned before, I think we've got a really good idea who the target market is. It's really sales leaders, executives. They have a tendency of feeling the pain. I've been focusing on LinkedIn because there's a huge, sales executive population that exists there. Just let everybody know, I've got this current LinkedIn bot, and I'm getting about 50 connections per week. I've gone up to, I don't know, I started right around 800 to 900 connections. I got over 2,300 connections. So I'm getting, and this is actually from doing 24 connection asks, 61 emails in terms of asking. I'm going to do one other thing, but that doesn't matter for this conversation. I'm getting between 1 to 2 appointments a week. That's starting to grow a little bit, and I'm doing other things in terms of networking. Lunch Club, I've been kicking that off again, but I'm not so sure if that really works that well. I'm trying to narrow the focus in on, the people they set me up with are somehow in sales. Obviously reaching out to my own network and getting in front of people like 1 Million Clubs, as mentioned, Lunch Club, and anything else. But I guess what I'm asking for the team is, I'm trying to figure out, what my best path is for this. All we needed to get is, X amount of customers. I think we can probably get angel funding for this and really take this thing for a ride. Right now what we're doing is, we're getting all the great feedback, and we have, we're just about there. We kind of know who we should be targeting, a little bit of how, but, probably more about the how and how we can expand that and spread that out. Does that make sense? Sometimes I kind of talk a little too much.
It makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense.
I have a suggestion.
So I guess
Frank.
what we're saying to everyone is, I think you're trying to say, here's my marketing plan. If you can see a way to help me grow this, make contact. It's in the chat. If you guys want to save the chat, go to your little bubble, the 3-button thing, and click on there, and you can just say save the chat. And that way you will be able to get in touch with Frank and chat about this afterwards, because that's really what we're going for with that last question. That being said, let me go back and share my screen one more time. I think I've got another slide or two to go. Yes. So now that we've asked Frank what we can do for him, I've got a question for you. What can you do for this 1 Million Cup Seattle community? And that is apply to present. Or if you know somebody, ask them to apply to present. Now, the best part about it is it doesn't mean you have to be ready. It just means you've got an idea. And we feel like we're here to help you make a decision about how far you want to go. Do you just want to kind of work on the idea and then talk to us before you go live? Or maybe just doing that will help you decide whether you want to continue or not. Whatever it is, we'd love to just find out what you've got going on and be a support group and maybe get you to present sometime in the future. So it's no pressure, very low pressure, like zero pressure. So we just love to have you apply if you've got an idea for a new product or a new company. And I think that being said, our next step is for me to stop sharing the screen one more time and to say thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you being here. And I think Tessa is probably busy making some breakout rooms. So the cool thing about our breakout rooms is it's just an opportunity for you to go chat and hang out with everybody. You've got a free ticket to leave whenever you like. We normally stay on until about 10:15 to 10:20 and just chat and have fun and make connections and talk to each other. So that's it for this day in September 15th. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. Yeah, just reiterating, we can go whatever you want. We'll close it at 10:30. So make sure to get contact details if you're having a really rad conversation, which does often happen. And if you run out, no problem. If you find yourself accidentally in a room by yourself, don't worry. I will save you and I'll send you into another room. So hang in there with us. And we hope you have a fantastic Wednesday.
Yeah, and next week is Channel. Shannon's on the line today.
Oh,
so yeah, he's giving us the peace sign. So Shannon's going to be our man next week to give us a wonderful presentation about his new social media app, which is pretty cool. He and I chatted about it last week. It's great. So see you next week. Tell your friends.
Bye.
Thanks,
Have a
Eric.
good time.
Bye.
Hope it-